Royal price tag that shocked millions. Gold light rises over silent towers. Morning breath touches marble streets. A city listens before it speaks. Every window holds a rumor. Every shadow carries a number. They say the price was heavier than gold. They say it bent the air. They say millions felt the echo. In markets and homes and prayers, a whisper traveling faster than wind. Not counted in coins alone. Not written only in ledgers. This cost wore silk and history. It carried weight of names. It rested on centuries of promise. Crowns do not shine for free. Palaces breathe with endless hunger. Each stone remembers a hand. Each gate recalls a vow. Each jewel reflects 1,000 nights. People watched from far screens, eyes wide with disbelief. How could one life carry so much value? How could one choice move oceans? How could a number feel alive? The price tag was never just money. It was time folded into treasure. It was loyalty signed in silence. It was power dressed as grace. It was risk hidden behind calm smiles. Mothers counted bills at dusk. Workers wiped dust from tired hands. Students dreamed under flickering lights. And still the story reached them. A royal sum beyond measure. Some felt awe. Some felt distance. Some felt a strange closeness, as if royalty had stepped into their room, leaving footprints made of questions. The cost was stitched with duty, a fabric few are taught to wear. Every thread pulled from expectation, every knot tied by tradition, every tear paid by restraint. In halls where echoes bow, advisors speak softly. Numbers pass like guarded birds. Never free, never light. The world learned again that crowns demand balance. Between desire and image, between heart and rule, between man and myth. This price did not shock alone. It revealed the hidden scale, where love is weighed against legacy, where freedom stands beside fate, where choice is never simple. Millions felt it without touching it. A tremor in ordinary days. A reminder that power costs, even when wrapped in beauty, even when sung as destiny. The royal sum stood tall, like a tower without windows, seen by all, entered by few, understood by almost none. And so the story begins here. Before judgment, before praise, at the edge of wonder, where value loses its meaning. Night returned with heavier silence. Lights of the city blinked like witnesses. Every tower stood listening, as if walls themselves were counting, as if the sky remembered the sum. Stories grew legs and walked, from street to screen, from screen to thought. People carried them into sleep, numbers turning into symbols. Some said the cost was love, measured in sacrifices unseen. Days surrendered to duty, dreams locked behind velvet doors, smiles learned before words. Others said the price was freedom, a bird taught not to fly, a road already chosen, a future shaped before desire, a life framed by expectation. The figure changed with every telling, growing larger in imagination, shrinking in explanation, yet always heavy, always pressing on the chest. Royalty is a mirror. It reflects what people lack. It magnifies hope and envy. It turns distance into drama. It turns cost into legend. Behind curtains of ceremony, breath is still human. Fear still visits at night. Loneliness still sits beside power. Even when surrounded by gold, the price tag hung quietly. Not on a wall, not on a gate, but on moments, on choices that cannot return. Every step forward carried history. Ancestors whispering through blood, crowds watching without blinking. A nation resting on posture. A world measuring every move. Millions spoke at once. Some in praise, some in anger, some in disbelief, all part of the same echo. The cost was not paid once. It was paid daily, in patience, in restraint, in silence practiced like an art. A royal life does not spend freely. It exchanges instead youth for responsibility, privacy for presence, truth for timing. The number shocked because it was visible, but the real expense stayed hidden, in hours lost to protocol, in friendships filtered by rank, in love learning to wait. Gold does not warm cold nights. Titles do not quiet doubt. Applause does not erase weight. Only resolve carries the crown. Only endurance keeps it steady. The world imagines luxury, but forgets the contract, signed without ink, agreed without voice, binding beyond escape. That is why millions paused, why breath caught, why eyes widened. Not for the wealth alone, but for the life attached to it. A price tag is simple. A life is not. Royalty proves this daily, walking carefully between worlds, belonging fully to none. The sum became a story. The story became a mirror, showing how value is misunderstood, how cost is confused with riches, how weight is confused with shine. Somewhere under the crown, a heart still counts quietly. Not money, but moments. Not power, but peace. The royal price tag remains, not erased, not lowered, but accepted, like a shadow that never leaves. And millions watching learn slowly that the shock was not the number, it was the truth behind it. That nothing so admired comes without an unseen cost. Morning arrives without announcement. Sunlight touches stone and glass. The city wakes carrying yesterday, still thinking about value, still wondering about cost. The story settles into routine, yet it does not fade. It waits in conversations. It hides in glances. It lives inside comparisons. People weigh their own lives against a distant crown. They ask quiet questions about fairness, about fate, about worth. A royal path looks smooth from afar, but every step is measured, every gesture learned, every emotion timed. Nothing is accidental. The price becomes a companion, walking beside the crown, never speaking, always present. A reminder without mercy. Power requires constant balance. One misstep echoes. One silence speaks loudly. One choice redraws history. Attention never sleeps. Those born outside gates imagine escape. Those born inside imagine breath. Both dream of freedom in different shapes, under different skies. The cost is patience stretched thin, waiting while the world watches, waiting while judgment grows, waiting while self disappears. Behind duty. Legacy is a heavy inheritance, carried without rest, passed like a flame that warms and burns. At the same time, millions continue to watch, not because of gold, but because of mystery, because a royal life feels larger than human. Yet beneath robes and ritual, a heartbeat keeps rhythm, simple and stubborn, proof that royalty is still flesh and thought. The price tag teaches quietly. That admiration has weight. That visibility demands strength. That silence is expensive. When everyone expects sound, time becomes the real currency, spent without return, given to ceremony, to image, to expectation. A crown does not rest. It presses. It reminds, it defines, it reshapes identity. The shock slowly transforms into understanding, not complete, not perfect, but closer. People begin to see that wealth is not freedom, that choice is not always available, that privilege carries chains, invisible but firm. The royal sum fades from headlines, but not from meaning. It settles into history as a lesson rather than a number. Those who follow the story carry it into their own lives, measuring ambition, measuring desire, measuring sacrifice. The crown continues forward, through seasons and change, through praise and doubt, carrying its cost, with practice calm. The price is paid in continuity, in keeping the story alive, in standing where others stood, in becoming a symbol, before being a self. Millions learn something rare. That value is complex, that shine hides effort, that power consumes. As much as it gives, the royal path remains, narrow and bright, inviting and isolating, watched and lonely, respected and questioned. In the end, the shock softens into reflection, into awareness, into a quieter truth that every life has a price, some visible, some hidden, some chosen, some inherited. The crown endures, not because it is light, but because it is carried day after day with acceptance, and the world moves on, a little wiser, a little calmer, knowing now that behind every stunning sum, there is a human cost.